My name is Scott Brabrand. I'm Executive Director for VAS and really want to welcome all of you into the superintendency if it's your first year, and back again for a second year if it is your second year in the superintendency. Let me be very clear. There's not been a more challenging time in public education, I think, in our lifetimes than it is now. But at the same time, I can say we appreciate so much that you have stepped up to the challenge. I can't predict the future. None of us can, but I can predict that VAS is going to be with you every step of the way with a set of supports and services. We have an incredible staff. You're going to get to meet them today. Amy and Andy and Cindy, Tom and Laura, our legislative liaisons, Micah, our legal counsel, Lori, who does our urgent and crisis communication support through Donovan Group. We just have a dream team, and we're waking up every day thinking about how we can make you successful and make your school district successful. So I want to just say that from the start. Welcome. Your role is critical, and we know we have to do everything we can to set you up for success. And that's our goal and plan each and every day, including this orientation that starts to show you everything that VAS has to offer. Don't be afraid to ask questions and offer comments. All of this is about how we can continue to improve service delivery for you. So, Amy, I'll turn it back to you for the rest of the orientation.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And we're going to first start by a special welcome and some advice from an experienced superintendent.
Hi everyone, Verlita White, Superintendent, Roanoke City Public Schools. Congratulations on your appointment. If I had one piece of advice to give you, it would be this: to follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of what people want to do, well, you can be flexible on those things. They want it here versus there. They want it on this day versus that day. You can be flexible on those things. But that 20%, those are your non-negotiables. Stand firm on your 20%. The trick is to know what's in your 20. So what's in your 20?
Well, that was Verlita White, superintendent in Roanoke City. She's also our one of our VAS officers, secretary and treasurer. So that was some great advice from Verlita. And you will be seeing little video clips throughout all our sessions throughout the year, advice for first-year superintendents. So what's today's session? I guess I first should introduce myself in case you didn't know me. I'm Amy Griffin. I'm the deputy executive director of VAS, and Scott has already told you that I do the professional learning. But I'm so glad you're here with us today. It looks like we invited the executive coaches. So on here we have first-year superintendents, we have second-year superintendents, and we have executive coaches, and we have some of our sponsors of VTLA. So thank you for all being here. The first part of this session is an overview of VAS services. So those of you that have been with VAS a year or two, you're going to hear some repeats of things you already know, but it can't hurt to have a refresher. So you're going to meet the VAS team, find out how we can support you. We exist to support you. And this is a place, the VTLA sessions, that we can come together and share the great things that are happening, some of the challenges we may be having, and how we can support each other. You're not alone. Sometimes the superintendent job, you might not have experienced this yet, but can feel a little bit isolating. So know you're not by yourself, that we're here for you, and you'll have a whole network of people to lean on. Then I'm going to briefly talk about the executive coach piece. Most all of you have been matched with your executive coaches. And then we have two experts who are superintendents that are going to talk about strategic planning. I know most of you are in that right now, so they can talk about what they did throughout the year and the lessons learned, some takeaways for you. Then we'll put you in small groups to talk about what you're doing and what you might learn from each other in small group, because this is your session. And then at the end, be thinking about what are some hot topics. Every session except for this one will have a hot topic session, and where you talk about what you want to talk about. So I'll be looking at the end of this session. The next August session is on school board relations. What are some other things that might be on your mind at that moment that you want to talk about? So that's how these sessions will go. So now, while we're not going to stop and introduce each other, because we got a lot of people on here, and we're going to really get to know each other through VTLA in small groups. But Those of you that are brand new, or maybe in your second year, if you could just put your name in the chat, what division you're superintendent of, and then what is one song title that reflects your leadership style or mood starting the superintendency? I know it's all of you going to put celebration, right? That's what y'all going to put. But anyway, if you could do that in the chat, I would appreciate it. Okay, so now VAS. And I think Scott had to move away because so I'll go ahead and do these things. So VAS, the state of VAS is strong. And we want to make sure that you know how we can support you so you remain strong. We have strong leadership. You can see our VAS officers there. Eli Bracey's our president. We have a legislative chair, Mandy. I know Mandy's on here. Rob, our professional learning chair. And then each region, you know, the 8 superintendent regions has a regional representative, and you can see your representative there. So you'll have your executive coach, you'll have these regional chairs, and then you'll meet monthly to have to be able to lean on each other. I can see the names are coming in, and I can see lean on me. Oh, this is how we do it. Yeah, I like that. Keep your names, titles, and songs coming on in there. We have a strong staff at VAS, and you're going to hear from each of these people throughout this presentation. So I'm not going to read everybody on there, but you can see our leadership team there. And we talk about our services. We have member services that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. And then we do advocacy. So we serve you as the superintendent with different types of services. And then we advocate for you in children in K-12 public education. As Scott has already said, how important that is. As far as some of the services, we have professional learning. We have learning cohorts we've done in the past, such as the AI Year of Learning we did last year. We have 3 annual conferences. I'll go over those dates in a minute. Fall conference registration is opening up on August 1st, just a week. So you want to make sure you get registered for that. But we have 3 conferences: fall, winter, and spring. The winter conference is with VASBO. Fall and winter conferences are in Richmond, and then spring is in the Hotel Roanoke. So it's really a great time to learn and get together. We have just-in-time webinars as hot topics pop up throughout the year, you know, especially in the last several years, or there have been things that have come up that we really need to get people together to, you know, to get more information to you so you know what the model policies might mean for you or federal funding, that type of thing. And then you already are part of the Virginia Transformational Leadership Academy for first and second year superintendents because you're here. And then we do have a professional learning committee that was listed in the other slide. I can see some more coming. I said, "Step into my world," it's John Gordon's song. Oh, and Aaron, "Let the Day Begin." Yeah, good. So some of the other services we have, I'm gonna start with Cindy Babb. Cindy, you can come off mute and talk about that weekly newsletter.
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I do, I'm Cindy Babb. I'm part of the VAS team, and I kind of sort of manage the back end stuff like the website. And each Wednesday you'll get a weekly newsletter. You should all already be signed up for it. If not, there's a sign up button on our website. And so you should look for that 7 o'clock every Wednesday morning. And so, yeah, if you have any questions or anything, you can reach out to me anytime.
And Cindy's the person that you will see emails from. So when you see an email from cbab at vasonline.org, know to look at that email, and that newsletter comes out every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, Lori. Lori Harper, Superintendent Amelia is one of our senior coaches. So you want to talk just introduce yourself, Lori, and then talk about the executive coaching a little bit.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Congratulations to our new superintendents and welcome to VAS. We're very excited that you're here. My name is Lori Harper, and I'm one of 2 senior executive coaches that serves you through VAS. Dr. Jared Cotton and I help to support the executive coaches that you are paired with and provide the support for the first 2 years of your superintendency. You'll have an opportunity to meet with your coach at the VAS conferences, as well as virtually or through telephone calls. So hopefully you've already been matched. I know we've been very busy doing that. And if you haven't, please fill out the information in the email that Amy has sent to you, and we'll work on matching you with a coach. If Jared or I can help you directly, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Lori. And Jared Cotton is the other senior coach, but he wasn't able to join us today. Okay, VAS provides lots of great services that you should take advantage of. And the next one we're going to have Mason and Eric come from TCG to talk about the financial planning services we have available for you to use.
Thank you, Amy, very much. And it's great to be here today. And kind of want to echo what a lot of people have said, just congratulating everybody on becoming the superintendent. We need more high quality superintendents to help out in the field. And so we appreciate what you do. And really through these vast financial planning services, we encourage you to take some time every year to take care of yourself. We know that you're all very busy. You do a lot for other people, for your students, your staff, your communities. But we think it's important to take some time every year. And to that end, I want to applaud VAS for partnering with us to provide these financial planning services. So as a member of VAS, you get some free time with us to talk about your pension, talk about Social Security, talk about retirement. Really, let's get to know you and your goals and your family and what you're trying to do to be financially well. So all that is part of that, in addition to getting a free basic will. So estate planning is an important thing that gets overlooked. So that is part of your membership. And then also we will work with Micah on your contract. Well, Micah is the legal expert, absolutely knows the contracts inside and out. We look at it as a financial planning tool. So whether it is needing additional insurance or set up a deferred compensation plan or figuring out the best way to increase your credible compensation for your pension, we want to work with you and make sure that you are doing all the things you can, both with your contract and outside of that, to be financially well.
Okay. Thank you, Mason. And since he wasn't on camera, I'm gonna go back a few slides and see. So you can see here Eric and Mason.
Yes. My apologies. I'm in the car headed to an airport.
That's okay, but I just wanted them to put a face to the name.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go. Thank you, Mason. So that is a great service that we just started doing, I think, 3 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a great service for you. So take advantage of that. And I'm not sure, Micah, legal support. Micah is able to provide legal support for 1 hour of it, but I don't think Micah's on here yet. So we will let Micah explain that when he comes on. So Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the education and management reviews they could participate in or they could have done for their school divisions.
Good morning. I'm Tom Smith, as I'm the education liaison, but I also facilitate the education and management reviews. As others, I want to congratulate you on your positions and the excitement that goes along with it. I'm a former superintendent from Fluvanna County in the 2000s and remember it very well. Since the 1990s, VAS has been providing education and management reviews for the membership. We don't do these reviews outside the membership. And in fact, several of the folks that are online today, new superintendents are working with us already. These are management program type reviews that we do. We try to keep the cost under procurement issues. We've done about, I think over the years, 120 or better of these kinds of reviews. Lately, the ones we've done have been an HR review, finance review. We've done some, particularly for new superintendents, reviews of central office staff. So they do very well. They take about 3 months, but if you're interested in that, let me know. We use retired superintendents and as well as consultants who have expertise in different areas. But so let me know, and I'll be glad to help and work with you on trying to solve some of the issues that you're going to face. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And next, now the financial planning up to a certain point, and then the legal support of an hour, that is free service that VAS provides you. The educational and management reviews, there is a cost to that depending on what you want. And this next part, Lori Mueller is going to talk about crisis communication support from the Donovan Group. That's also at no cost to you. That's part of a VAS service as long as you stay in a certain range. So Lori, you want to talk about your services?
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Amy. My name is Dr. Lori Miller. You can call me Lori, and I am part of the Donovan Group, which is a K-12 public school focused nationwide firm that supports schools with communications and community engagement. And we are grateful to be partnered with VAS so that all of the members of VAS have access to our team when you're dealing with a crisis. So you have access to us 24/7, 365, whenever you're dealing with anything that might be just merely embarrassing or truly tragic. We've been doing this work for over 2 decades, and we provide this service across the country, including supporting AASA. And we're here for you. So please, before you leave this conversation today, I will put in the chat box our hotline number for Virginia superintendents, as well as our email. And I really highly recommend that you add that to your desktop, your cell phone. You may not think you're going to need us at this point, but trust me, whether you're a new superintendent or a veteran superintendent, you're going to find a need for us. We're here for you on your worst days. And congratulations, everybody. I look forward to meeting you all in person.
Thank you, Lori. So you can see there's a lot of services that you can take advantage of. And I hear nothing but praise from superintendents when it comes to the financial planning with TCG, especially when it comes to contract negotiation, the same thing with Micah and Lori's support in crisis management communication. They rave about too, because when you need it right then. And she's never disappointed or let us down in that matter. I've even see some of you on here that have utilized that. So thank you. And then before we finish up, we want to talk about the advocacy part. And so I'm going to have Tom come back on, and then Laura Novi can come on as well and talk about advocacy as far as VAS's perspective.
Again, good morning. Advocacy, or the service we provide on that, is one of the main things that I feel VAS provides its membership, as well as K-12 public education as a whole. Like I said, I've been working advocacy in Richmond almost, since, in one way or another, since the 90s. I think I'm under my 8th governor. And like I said, I was the superintendent as well as legislative chairperson when I was superintendent. What we try to do is help educate your General Assembly members, and right now we're also working with congressional staffs. We work with, like I said, the General Assembly. We're working in Washington now, particularly with the issue of the federal dollars being held. We also work with the Board of Ed and provide advocacy there. It's important to know that you are a major resource in how we do things. And so we have a legislative committee. Each region has a member on that committee. They're very active and work very well in trying to get your message up, and so that we can get that again to the General Assembly, the Congress, and also to the state board. I know that this past year or so, Scott has addressed the state board at each one of its meetings, and given them VAS's perspective on the issues before them. We also every year put together what we call a legislative priority list, and these are issues, and they're from you and from your legislative regional folks. We put together a list of our priorities for that year, and once they're set, we vote on them, officially put them in place, and then send them to the General Assembly. The General Assembly right now will have a special session perhaps in September over what's going on at the federal level. It used to be that they call themselves the part-time working group in terms of the General Assembly, but they have more special sessions, particularly since COVID, and then they're almost full-time now. But they do have committee meetings during the year, and so it's an active time. But you are a critical piece of what we do. And it's our job to help you get an understanding how best to approach your delegate, senator, or congressman, or state senator. And so feel free to at all times let me know if you have needs. We also, when your boards begin to set, if they do, their own legislative priorities, I'll be glad to work with you on that and help you with that process also. And if you do put a bill in based on your needs, then we will try to help support that when we get to Richmond. It's a very active time in January, February, and March. And so we're there. We're there to represent you, and we're trying to meet the needs that you have, particularly when we get to budget, because that's always a critical piece. I'm going to turn it back over to Laura and see if she wants to add anything.
Laura, did you want to add anything? See her, she's here. I'm gonna go back to here. So you can see Laura Novi, she is a legislative advocate for us. She works at McGuire Woods. We contract her services, and her and Tom do a great job of making sure our voices are heard and advocating for us.
Laura,
I do see.
Laura is also a former Secretary of Education for the Commonwealth. And so she has vast experience with this, and she provides a great service in terms of us working as a team to help meet your needs.
Yeah. And I do see Micah's come on. Micah, you want to tell them a little bit about the services you provide to superintendents?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. And have you told them anything about it already? Because I'm sorry, I just joined.
Not much.
Okay,
wait
great.
for you.
I'll start from the beginning then. Okay, thanks. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Micah Schwartz. I'm an attorney with Williams Mullen Law Firm. I'm based in the Charlottesville office, and I am the attorney for VAS, but I'm also part of the way in which VAS provides a service to its members, like you all, which is that VAS provides for 1 hour of free legal services to every superintendent every year. And we do it in the form of an hour because that's the way in which lawyers think. They bill by the hour, and so the hour is kind of a natural way to think of things. The service is not exclusively with me. The idea is for you to get the legal services that you need. I'm the clearinghouse, meaning if what you need is not really my expertise, but somebody else's, then I'll direct you either to someone else in my firm, or if I think what you really need is somebody outside the firm, then I'll do that. I think how this is most usefully used is in those circumstances when you want to discuss something with an attorney, but don't want to discuss it with your board counsel. Hopefully all of you have a what I'll call a board counsel, maybe not an employee of the division, but an attorney that the board members of the division more generally turns to when they need something from a lawyer. And most of the time I would suggest using that attorney, mostly because it's free, but also they have your interests at heart and everything like that. But there are circumstances where what you want are adverse to the division, at least in the way that a lawyer would frame it, meaning when you're negotiating a contract with the division, it is hopefully amicable and both of you are trying to make the relationship work. But it's a circumstance in which you're trying to get what you need and the division is trying to get what it needs. And from a lawyer's perspective, that's an awkward situation, or I should say from the division counsel's perspective, that's an awkward situation because the lawyer has two masters, so to speak, in that circumstance. And their loyalties need to be with the board because that's their true client. I can explain all of that concept at another time. So anyways, all this is to say, when you're negotiating your contract, that's a time when it's useful to have your own attorney who's advocating on your behalf and trying to explain things to you about the contract. So that's probably the way in which most superintendents use the service. More broadly, I would say, again, are times when you feel some adversity between you and the board and you want to talk to a lawyer who isn't the division counsel. That is how most superintendents use it, and I think that's the best use of it. Again, in most cases, it'll be with me, but if we think it makes sense for it to be somebody else, then we'll get you to the right person. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Amy, anything else you'd like me to cover?
I think that's good. Thank you, Micah. So now Now, when you hear about, I don't expect you to remember all this. We're not going to take a test at the end of the session. So, at least you've started to learn about and put faces with names, and but always ask if you have questions throughout the year. If you need any of these services, don't be shy in asking. You're not alone. We're here to support you. So I'm going to catch back up to where I was. I think we did that. Laura's here. She says her mic's off. So, Laura, I don't know if you're able to get your mic to work and want to say anything, or she might just be having tech issues. So, and if you see me smiling and laughing while people are talking, is it because I'm reading the songs? I'm learning a lot about people and their songs, about how they're feeling about their first year. Okay. So as we've said, the state of VAS is strong. That's pretty much a really brief, quick overview of who VAS is and our team and what we do. So now we're going to move into some more advice from the field, and this person's here actually.
Hello, my name is Mandy Hester, and I'm the proud superintendent for Nelson County Public Schools. Congratulations on your new position. If I were to give you any advice, it would be keep kids first, support your staff, be as visible and accessible to your staff and students as you can be, as well as your community. When you are working with people, listen to learn, and take great advantage of your executive coach as well as all the other superintendents in the Virginia network. They are a wonderful resource. Again, congratulations on your new position and best of luck.
So that was a great segue, Mandy. Thank you for that video to your executive coach piece. I think most of you have already been matched with your executive coach, and many of the executive coaches are here, and we thank you for joining us. We invited them so they can just see what you're learning today and how they can support you. But if you haven't, make sure there's a form that you've been emailed. It's also online to fill that out. The way we do our matches is that the two senior coaches, Lori Harper and Jared Cotton, and I, we look through the list. We look at what your form said your strengths and your areas of need are, and we look at what the coaches' expertise are, and we provide a list of names to you. Not all 52 executive coach names come to you. Usually it's 3 or 4 that come to you to select. So that's how that is. I know this is going to be hard because everything's a priority when you're new as a superintendent, and your number one priority is your students, right? And making sure your students get what they need, but also make yourself and your professional learning a priority, and make sure that you're reaching out to your executive coach, and your executive coach is reaching out to you, because they're here to support you. You're not, like I've said, I'm gonna say it 100 times today and throughout this first year or two that you're with us in this program. You are not by yourself. We're here for you. So make it a priority. I can't say when I was a superintendent, I can't say I took advantage of my executive coach as much as I should have. And so now I can see how much support it could have been had I taken better advantage of it. You have a minimum of 8 coaching engagements with your executive coach, probably much, much more, and that's okay. And this new to this year, and executive coaches haven't had their training for this year yet, are monthly coaching prompts that they'll ask you based on whatever you're learning in VTLA. So today's session is going to be on entry planning, strategic entry planning. So your executive coaches are going to have questions to follow up with you on, where you are in that process. What are your needs? Next month is school board relations. So they'll have some coaching prompts to ask you about school board relations and where you are with that. So that's new this year, trying to make sure what you're doing in VTLA and your executive coaching should align. There will be lots of other things you'll talk about with your executive coach, but we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Just so you know, you've already heard from Lori. You're the superintendent. You have your executive coach. The 2 senior coaches help support and train the executive coaches. So that's how that kind of lines up. And in the training for executive coaches, this is for your information. A coach is different from a mentor, is different from a consultant. They will serve in a mentoring capacity somewhat your first year because you're new, and they'll probably be more of a mentor. But our goal is for them to be a coach to you, not to give you all the answers or tell you all their war stories. It's about providing you reflective questions and resources to really dig into them and ask yourself and come up with the answers yourself other than someone telling you. So just so you know, or if you get frustrated with that process, let us know. But that's the difference between that. You've already got 100 calendar invites for me. I apologize already. I'm sorry, but I like to get on your calendar because I know how your calendar fills up. So here are the different VTLA sessions. Most of them are an hour and a half virtual. There are 3 in person during our conference. It's the Monday during the conference that will be in person, face to face. I'm not going to read those to you. Here are the 3 conferences. And like I said, August 1st, the fall conference registration comes available. And I'll tell you, you want to register as early as you can and get hotel rooms because the hotel rooms especially go really fast. So especially the Roanoke ones. And then during the Sunday before our fall conference, we have a dinner for all our first and second year superintendents. We'll meet in the lobby of the Richmond Marriott. We'll walk to the Redbird Social where you'll get to talk, network together, have great drinks and food. And usually the Department of Ed, a cabinet comes so you can meet them. And we do the same. We don't do that in January. We do the same thing in April, where we take you out to eat and you get to network and be with each other. What are you going to experience during all our VTLA sessions? These are the things that you're going to experience. You should have gotten the July copy of the Navigator. That's a brief on whatever we're going to be learning about. So I think you got the July Navigator. This is new, where you get, here are the 10 top strategies of strategic entry planning, what you should be thinking about in your first 90 to 100 days. So you should have gotten that. You'll get one August 1st on school board relations. In it, you'll find strategies. You'll find examples of school divisions in Virginia. Versions of those. Not this time, but all the other sessions will have hot topic roundtables where you'll give me the topics and we'll talk about those, what's on your mind. And the best part of this whole thing is you're gonna have real talk with superintendents, like you're gonna hear from Aaron and Felix in a minute on what they've done in this, whatever the topic is. And then we're gonna always tie it to the superintendent evaluation process, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. And then you'll have time after real talk to get and break into groups and just talk about what you're doing and what support you may need from each other, from us on that topic. And you're always going to have that advice from the field you've been seeing. And I've already talked about the reflection questions with your executive coaches. They won't be as much talking. Normally these sessions won't be as much talking to you as you're getting today. So the Navigator, as you guys just discussed, I'm not going to repeat myself there. Superintendent evaluation process, we're weaving this into every session. So I think if you read the Navigator for this time, and you'll see it in August, you should be having that conversation with your school board. How are they going to evaluate you? What's that process? What's the tool you're going to use? That should be something that hopefully you can come to an agreement and both agree upon how that process is. But you don't want to wait till the end of the year to say, how are you evaluating me? You want to start that conversation now. And what we're going to do is whatever the topic is, we're going to relate it to whatever one of the standards are, the standards in the evaluation tool and any artifacts, sample artifacts. There are going to be many other artifacts you can use, but we're just going to mention some. So now we're going to turn into why you're here to learn about entry planning. And all of you in the middle of it, I've been following you in the news. I've been following you on social media. I know you're out there meeting with people. I know you're doing these things. So we don't think you're doing these things. We just want to make sure you don't, you might not be, that you have all the resources and supports you need. I do want to say, because I see Monica on the screen now, our VTLA sessions do have sponsors. We have 2 sponsors. We have Participate Learning, and we have ALP, and Gaynell from ALP is on here. Monica, Dwayne, Sherry from Participate Learning are here. You'll see them in your small groups. They may be facilitating the questions that we're asking. They know this is a confidential place and you can trust them. They've been with us for 3 years. You can depend on them and they're just here to support. And we're so thankful that they're our partners. So I'm not going to read these to you. In the Navigator, top 10 strategies, according to ChatGPT and help with our senior coaches. Here are strategies. I won't read those to you because you have that. But now I'm going to turn it over to our 2 experts. You're going to hear from Aaron Spence, superintendent in Loudoun. He's been in Loudoun. He's been in Virginia Beach, and he's been in a school division. I'm not sure which division in North Carolina. I think he's a great example to a great expert in this area to share with you because he's been in at least 3 divisions and had to do this process 3 times. And he's been successful each one. He hasn't been just changing to change. So he's been successful. He's done this 3 times. And then you're going to hear from Felix Ado, who's the superintendent in Colonial Beach. What's great about him is he's just done this. This is his 2nd year. So he just experienced going through his 1st year. So I've been doing a lot of talking. And so, Aaron, I'm going to turn it over to you now, and you can just tell me when you want me to change slides.
I sure will. Thanks, Amy. And good morning, everybody. Great to be here with you. I will just sort of double down on something that Amy said, which is that as I go through this conversation, being asked to share sort of thinking about strategic entry, I'm not making any assumptions about your work and what you've been doing. I'm just sharing some of the things that I've thought about. As Amy said, this is my 3rd district, my 14th year as a superintendent. Also in my 2nd year in this district, so having just come through the entry planning process as well. And just thought I'd share some things that we've done, some things that I've learned. So one of the things that I do want to say at the beginning, though, is congratulations, as everybody else has said, because I think it's critically important that we recognize the responsibility that you've accepted and your willingness to step into these roles. I hope you see it as an honor, but also a tremendous need here in the Commonwealth. And we're glad, for those of you especially who this is your first time in these roles, we welcome you as colleagues, and we're really glad you're here. And we're glad to be able to have the opportunity to support you in any way that we can. So, Amy, if you want to just jump to the next slide. So, you're all coming into these roles, and just a couple of things that I've learned over time that I'm sure you're thinking about. Hopefully you started working before day one. You went through a search process with your board, and I know that during those conversations, you were seeking to understand and get clarity on what the board's expectations were for you in terms of how they want to engage with you, but also how they anticipate that you will engage with the community. And so hopefully, you really began lining up for them how you intended to come into the school district. And hopefully some of that included what's here on this slide. So desire to really spend time understanding the culture of the district, the history of the district, the history behind any recent successes and or controversies that they want you to be aware of, sort of flipping over the rocks and understanding, who moves what in the district. And certainly understanding the political landscape of the districts that you're going into, and just knowing that a lot of coming into a new organization is just spending time getting to know that organization. And of course, some of you are not new to your organizations. You've moved up through the organization, and so you already have a leg up with that regards. But knowing that as you're the superintendent, people are going to come to you and start sharing things that maybe you didn't even know in the roles that you were in. I think saying yes to visibility obviously matters. One of the key things that you learn quickly as a superintendent, particularly if you've been in other roles where it wasn't expected of you, is people are going to want to see you, and they're going to want to see you often. And it's just affirming to them that you care about the things that they care about if you are saying yes to visibility as you're working your way into the district. And the one piece of advice I really would start with, and probably hope to just leave you with, is just resist the urge to fix everything right away. Unless the thing is absolutely on fire and the board has said, this is what we want you to do, we really want you to fix everything right away. I think it's really important that your entry is focused more on listening and learning and leading versus kind of like this heroic leadership of I'm here to fix everything. So with that, how do you build an entry plan that communicates those things? So Amy, on the next slide, I guess my advice and my learning over time has been create a fairly simple and transparent entry plan. You can see here I listed 6 objectives, but frankly, in the entry plan that I used when I came into Loudoun County, but frankly, we didn't even talk about those objectives so much as we just talked about 3 focus areas: listen, learn, and build trust. So we just repeated over and over again, our goal is to listen, our goal is to learn, and our goal is to build trust. If you are writing an entry plan or you've already written an entry plan, one of the goals and one of the clear things you have to do is you have to outline who you're planning to meet with so that people know in advance that you are interested in learning from them, that you understand their key stakeholders. And so, making sure that your principals, your teachers, your parents, your community partners, the key leaders in the district. They all know that you intend to meet with them, and that they also know how and when you're going to meet with them. Your entry plan, I hope, includes a plan for gathering feedback and information. And so including surveys, including forums, including focus groups, however you intend to do that, but being very clear in your entry plan, this is the way that I intend to go out and gather information because I do want to listen and I do need to learn, and I have a plan for doing that. I think it's also really important that this isn't a plan that's just between you and the board. This is a plan that's very public. You put it out, make it available to your community to read, make it available to your community to see on your website, and be willing to answer questions about that with folks who want to have a conversation with you about your entry plan and any questions they may have about that. So showing your entry plan to folks and not just keeping it between you and the board, again, is about building trust and making sure people know your approach is thoughtful and your approach is inclusive. And then probably the last thing in terms of thinking about how you're building that entry plan and bringing it to your community is signaling right out front that this isn't something you're going to be doing alone, that you are going to involve your team, you're going to need the support of your board, and you're going to signal through that process, I think, and I hope that you are a collaborative leader and that, it's not you out there alone listening, but it's you and your team listening and thinking together about how you'll respond to the things that you're hearing. So, Amy, with that, we'll go to the next slide. So this has just been my experience and how I've approached it. We have done listening tours. I did this in Virginia Beach. I did this in North Carolina. And then in Loudoun County, we did 17 listening tours. What we did essentially was go to every high school cluster, and we showed up. And we conducted focus groups. We conducted a lot of one-on-one meetings. We conducted surveys with staff, with students and families. But the listening sessions in particular were very powerful. We held 2 at every high school. We held 1 for staff. And then later that evening, we held 1 for our community. And at each of these sessions, I brought a team of people who sat and facilitated conversations at the table with those who showed up. And we had a range of people. We had some meetings with 30 or 40 people. We had meetings then with 150 people. So it just depended on kind of the interest of the community and oftentimes what was going on in that high school community at that time. But our team would take notes. We wrote down in front of people on chart paper what they were saying so they knew that we were listening. We also gave people an opportunity to respond in other ways if they weren't comfortable talking in those groups. And so we had a landing page where people could just scan a QR code and go to the landing page and leave their comments. And so we just provided a lot of different ways for people to provide feedback. And we asked the questions that you see on the screen. They're not complicated questions. What's working? What's getting in the way? What do you need me to know about our school district that you love and that you may have concerns about? And I'll talk in a minute about what we did with that information. But the key was that people know you're getting that information, you're listening, and you're present and interested in what it is that they have to say. Now, the only thing I'll mention, and of course, I think given what Scott said at the beginning about some of the challenges of the superintendency right now, is just knowing it won't always be pleasant. Sometimes you're going to go into spaces where people are not happy with the school division or not happy with you, even if it's in your first couple of months. This screenshot here you can see is November 5th of 2023, and that was 2 months after I started my work, and I was being sort of hunted down by one of our local investigative reporters during one of these listening sessions to talk about an issue that had arisen in the district. And so you just have to know going out, sometimes you're going to hear things or be asked questions that are hard, and you have to be willing to do that because we need to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on in our school divisions if we're going to be able to make a difference and help people feel like we understand and are interested in their concerns. So Amy, with the next slide. So this is, I think, really critical, is, what do you do with the information that you're collecting? So you all are in your first 90 days, many of you, and you have begun these sessions and you're maybe collecting this information in the various ways that I just talked about. And then hopefully you're thinking about and have a plan for what you're going to do with that information. So nothing is worse in communications, and this is a lesson I've learned time and time again, unfortunately, than asking questions and then not figuring out how to tell people what you've done with the answers to those questions that you've asked. So be certain that you are ready to comb through those answers, the feedback, the survey results, the notes that you've taken, and find the patterns that are emerging. And, interestingly, when you do this, you're going to find a lot of alignment between and across your stakeholder groups. You're going to see a lot of agreement with the things that people really like and appreciate about your district. They're going to tell you they love their teachers and really appreciate the educators. And then you're going to see probably a lot of alignment start to emerge where there are tensions within your district and areas that people would really like for you to address. So for us, we grouped our findings into themes. We talked about areas like school culture and communication, instructional quality, student well-being. And then as we were doing that, I worked with my team and we identified cross-departmental issues where we were going to need joint solutions from our team in order to begin to address some of the concerns that we've heard. But again, I think the key understanding for this part is, don't just collect the data. Be prepared to do something with it. People are only going to give you feedback so many times before they stop believing that it matters if you don't do anything with that. So you have to make sure you take time to see what's in your data, and then you have to roll out a plan, a very transparent and public plan for what you're going to do to address that data. So I'll talk about that on the next slide just a little bit. So I've always believed if you're going to do an entry plan, you need to do a post-entry plan. And that post-entry plan really just needs to be a summary of what it is that you did, what it is that you learned, and then what are the recommendations that you are presenting to your board and to your community as a result of those conversations. I'll say this, the kind of what I was asked to talk about was your first 90 days, but I've never found it possible to do all of this in 90 days. I think you can, and some of that size and scale of the organizations that we're serving. But take the time that you need would be my advice. So don't, force it into 90 days if you need 120 days. Don't force it into 90 days if you need, frankly, the bulk of the school year to get this right. Because one of the things that happened here in Loudoun, as I said, we had to do 17 listening sessions. And we weren't able to do that until we got into the spring. And I kept telling my board, I know you want to know what we're learning and what we're thinking about. I know we want to plan. But if we don't give full listening to every part of our community, if we start writing recommendations before we finished our listening sessions, people aren't going to believe that we're interested in what they have to say. So we gave it the time that it needed. And I would say that's key. Don't force it into an arbitrary number. And then, though, as you're thinking about how you're reporting out and planning for your actions, so that QR code there just shows the entry plan. But, I shared this post-entry plan with the school board at the end of the whole process. And then what that allowed me to do was set one of my personal goals. Amy was mentioning the superintendent evaluation process isn't a part of that. You're going to set some goals with your board. And I was able to set a goal for year 2 to deliver on the recommendations of this plan. And this was all public. This was all presented in a public meeting where we went through each of the key recommendations and we talked to the board and had discussion about those recommendations, and we got their kind of agreement that those were the key priorities, and then established a goal to deliver on those recommendations during the last school year. And so then talking about how to take action on that, that'd be the next slide, Amy. This seems a little wonky, but if you're into project management, what you see on there are our project management tools to tackle these recommendations as multi-departmental challenges. And so we started with kind of up to the right-hand corner spreadsheet project management plan, and then ultimately decided we need to get some project management software that enables us to make sure that we were executing on the recommendations. We were regularly meeting to talk about how we were progressing. We were thinking about when we were updating the board and the community on those recommendations and what we were doing. And then making sure that we were answering questions along the way and needing to pivot if we had to pivot, and communicating that to the board and the community as well. And then ultimately we wrapped this up. We came back to the board at the end of this process, at the end of the year, and we said, here's each of the recommendations. Here's what we were able to accomplish. Here's areas where we have continued work to do. Here's areas where we decided that that wasn't the right area of focus for us given what was happening in the school division. But we did share the data that came out of our work and those recommendations. We did share the work that we had done, and then we shared any of the lessons that were learned. So the key to this is you turn your learning into leading. You take what it is that you learned as you've come into the district, and you create an opportunity to really develop shared priorities and move the division forward. And what you find is people hear and see you say, "This is what I learned from you," and I see you taking action on it, and that builds trust and that builds credibility, and that's critically important for your ability to lead in your district, that you show the community that their voice has shaped our path forward. So with all of that, I'll just kind of wrap up with a few lessons learned on this next slide. The first one is it takes a lot of work. As I said, don't shove it into an arbitrary time frame. Take the time to do the work that's needed to make sure that every single one of your key stakeholders has the opportunity to be heard. Don't just do listening sessions, do other opportunities for people to give you feedback, because, even though we had 150 people at our listening sessions, that meant that we still had thousands and thousands and thousands of families that we didn't hear from. And so we put out surveys, we did focus groups, we provided lots of other opportunities. And just know it's a lot of work. It can't be a check the box exercise. You have to see it as a long-term investment in your leadership and in your credibility. As I said earlier, you can't do it alone. You want to take advantage of the strong leadership team that you should have around you and bring those people with you, and make sure that you share the work and the ownership for all of this, because that builds a collaboration in your team that really can't be replaced. As I mentioned, it's not always going to be comfortable. You're going to hear hard things. You may face criticism, and that's okay, because showing up matters, and you need to be seen, and you need to be listening anyway. And that's real leadership. You don't run from the voices that disagree with you. Track everything. Make sure that you turn your intention into impact, and you are showing people what it is that you are doing, and circling back and closing the feedback loop. One of the biggest challenges in communications is a failure to close the feedback loop. Like, ask a question. If you ask a question, make sure you go back to people and you tell them what you heard, and then you tell them what you intend to do about it, and then you come back around and you show them how you did what it was that you said you were going to do. And that, again, builds credibility and trust. On the next slide in the slide deck, there's just some of the resources that we talked about, some of the ways that we collected feedback, the update that we provided to the board, and the plans themselves. And I think with that, I probably come past my time, so I'll pause there and see if, Amy, you want me to take any questions, or if you just want to move forward.
I do see one in the chat from Wayne Lyle. He wanted to know, what program are you using to create is it a Gantt chart?
Yeah, so the project management software that we're using is called Wrike, W-R-I-K-E. It's a terrific program, and I would suggest, if you're going to use that you either, if you have the resources, hire a project manager. You can do that as a consultant position, or a part-time position. Oh, that's what we ended up doing. Or just get one of your people who's already on your team to be trained in project management, and give them access to that software and let them lead that work with your cabinet.
Okay. And Eric had asked me privately, you all will have a shared folder, and this presentation is in there. So all these links, you'll have a copy of the slide deck, so you can actually go to the links and QR code. You'll have all that for every presentation. So any other real quick questions for Aaron before we move to Felix? Well, thank you, Aaron. So you've got to hear from Aaron, who's been in 3 different divisions of superintendent, correct? And 2 of them really large. And then I hadn't even thought about it. You just finished that first year in Loudon too. So this is fresh on your mind. Now, Felix is
year 2, heading into year 3.
Year 3, okay.
Hard to believe.
I know it. Time just flies. So our next expert is Felix Ado from Colonial Beach. And, I was thinking of him because he has just done his first year. He also volunteered to do this, but he brought to my attention that he's also someone that's been within the division. And some of you that are brand new, and that was me too. When I was in Cumberland, I was in the division. So I knew a lot about it already. So he's coming from a different perspective as he's within the division he's now become superintendent of. And what was that first year like? So let me spotlight Felix. I'm trying to maneuver two screens. You're learning about my technology skills right now. Okay, well, welcome, Felix.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Am I on? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm gonna spotlight you now. There you are.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you, Aaron. My presentation will not be as eloquent as Dr. Spence, but I can share with you what I've learned and my transition from executive director to superintendent in Colonial Beach Public Schools. If you don't mind, please, next slide. And I will give you a little bit of background. I have been in Colonial Beach for 2 years, and I received the promotion to superintendent. So my transition it was a little bit easier than entering into a brand new school division. I had some background. I knew the community to some extent, and I has a lot of information at hand. So I hit the ground running. And most of you guys that started July the 1st, I did not start till August the 1st, I think the first week in August. And 2 weeks later, we had our teachers coming in. So I had to do a quick turnaround to make sure I'm ready for the opening of school. At the same time, keep track of the transition plan, as I call it, because it's not really an entry plan. It's a transition from one position to the next. And most of you guys are now 30 days in your position. If you started July 1st, you're the new kid on the block. Everyone wants to meet you. Everyone wants to see you. Everyone wants to shake your hand. Everyone wants to know what you have in mind for the district, your vision, your mission, and your goals. Those are important, but don't fall into that trap of saying a lot of things without taking the time to truly listen and learn the culture of the district that you're in. And mostly, as Aaron mentioned, mostly positive interactions. You may have a few that will not be positive interactions, whether you are new or not, or you are on your honeymoon period. You will attend many social events, and please take advantage of it. Make sure you're present. He mentioned visibility is important, and that'll come up a little bit later in my presentation. And you will interact with influential people. Take notes and know who actually make things happen within your district is important. That's something that I'm sharing, but you already know that. When I approached my transition plan as being someone who's already been in the district, my approach was that I still need to be introduce myself to the community, because I was working behind the scenes mostly, and now I am the face of the district. So now I need to really introduce myself to the community. Also learn the culture a little bit more than I've had. 2 years is good, but I think I had a lot more to learn, and I can tell you that I truly did. I've learned a lot in my first year. Give an insider's view of the community and school district, which I have some, but I think there are ways to go, because there are some individuals, business partners that I had not interacted with or rubbed elbows with. And then that's to establish a baseline understanding of what is expected from folks from all corners of the district. If you go next slide, please. Being in the district really gave me a leg up, I should say, an advantage because we just finished a strategic 5-year strategic plan. So there's a lot of information that I have at hand going through the process in terms of being part of every single activity that eventually created the strategic plan. So I came in with the knowledge that there are 3 goals within a strategic plan that we need to really focus on. And please, if you're able to establish this, it is important because the conversations you're going to have with community members, you will be confronted with many questions about what is your goal? What do you see for the district? How are you going to approach this? Sometimes you can avoid some of those questions, but these 3 priorities help me to have a meaningful conversation because we definitely had the inside track that we want high quality learning environment. We're focused on academic achievement. And what our district was facing was, since we're a small rural district, we had a lot of issues with, well, not issues, we struggled, challenges with recruitment of staff and then retention of staff because it's very difficult to compete with surrounding districts that are paying a lot more and that may have a bigger resources than we do. So this helped me a lot. Next slide, please. Now I put several quotes on some of these slides, and I'm not going to actually tell you. I'll tell you exactly what I did. So my approach was to listen intentionally and widely. What I did was set up interviews and listening tours within the district. I will give you that. My district is small, contains just two schools and about 4,000 residents. So I was able to maneuver pretty quickly from one end of the district to the next. But I kept in mind of 3 questions, the overarching questions that I wanted to know. And Aaron mentioned basically the same thing. What's working? What's not? And what do you hope I will do? The expectations of me. And my focus on building relationship with key leaders. Met with my school board members, as Aaron mentioned, one-on-one. I met with my town manager, the mayor, the chief of police. Identified some folks that I needed to get to know and find out exactly what they think about the school and how the school district is doing in their eyes. But the meeting with my board members was very important because it goes into details about even how each individual board members would like communication, how they want information, and what are their goals, what do they expect of me being in the new role. Next slide, please. I always kept this in mind to learn more so of the structure. I had to figure out how decisions are made and how board members, how town council members truly come to some of the decisions that they make to support the school or make policies to direct the school. And each board member was vastly different in how they approach the way they make decisions, and it's all due to their experience and what they are passionate about. So I had to keep that in mind. And then, as Aaron mentioned, I had an advantage of being in my district. So the budget was something that I had to also study because I was in charge of the budget. I was very familiar with the strategic plan, and I had to really dive into the student data even more and get a chance to to interact with the departments in all areas. I also had a chance to talk to my principals and to shadow them a little bit, rode bus routes throughout the district to get to know my bus drivers and also the kids to see me on the bus, again, visibility. The campus, we're on one campus, so it was very easy for me to walk from school to school and throughout the campus. But for us in Colonial Beach, it's more so of a community school. So the campus really is the entire beach area is the campus. Because we're a golf cart community, you can get to anywhere within our beach within 30 minutes, I would say. But visibility and show people that you're curious about what they think and what they bring to the school and how they support the school. Next slide, please. This is, Aaron mentioned a little bit. I didn't want to duplicate what Aaron had. I think some of that stuff is duplicated. But he mentioned about making a list of folks that you're going to interview or have a conversation with. And this is within my plan. You will see this list of the staff that I'm going to engage in terms of collecting data from students, families, and community members. Now, I will tell you that my overarching questions that I wanted to engage folks in changed drastically. And this is a lesson that I've learned because what the conversations I'm having with adults and questions that I'm asking had to change. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, those classrooms. And I did visit those classrooms and had probably about 30 minutes to talk to kids. So the questions becomes, what was interesting, I'll tell you, what was interesting was that in first grade, when you ask how is school and what is going well, sometimes lunch comes to mind and what is not going well, we need more time at recess. So we had to have a interesting conversation. I have to change some of my questions to bring it down to their level to make sure it's meaningful. But please, the last column, the community, is something that I took pride in because I needed to really touch base with the community along with my staff. I did have a survey that went out to all families, as Aaron mentioned, those that were not able to be at a listening session. I did have a survey that went out and I got a great response from the surveys that folks that were not there was able to share their thoughts with me. Next slide, please. And please share, analyze and collect the data and to find themes and trends. I will tell you my trick to this. Aaron used a management system, used AI to input all of my qualitative data and somehow prompt AI to create and to give me themes and compare it to the data that I have. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because you collect a lot of information from the survey and listening tours and taking notes. Excuse me. But it is truly the AI helped a lot to give me those themes, and I'm going to show you a little bit about. I took a shot of the themes that came out. I was able to share that with my board members, and every month I get a chance to go to a town council meeting, and I was able to share with the town council also where there are community members, and then with my staff, and also posted this on our website so everyone can see what the data tells us and themes that we have found. Next slide, please. So I took a picture of some of the questions that you may use or may have asked, and then my 90-day transition plan update that I presented to the board and shared with the staff. You can see within my plan, you will see those 4 or 5 pages of some of the themes. Now, the thing that I really enjoyed and loved listening to, and I was very careful, and this was something that a veteran superintendent shared with me. Uh, and one question that I said that I asked at Colonial Beach, what in Colonial Beach public schools must be preserved at all costs? That was interesting because that is a landmine you don't want to fall on as a starting superintendent. And that is something that the community will die on the hill for if you come in and try to somehow change it. So that was one question that I always ask, so I know exactly what people are passionate about and what they want to protect, and then everything else will fall in place. But I think this is valuable. The update was exactly what my board expected, and it was not too different from the strategic plan because we just went through it. I was able to align the themes, everything that came out of my question tours, my visits, my communication, interaction with folks. I was able to connect that back to the strategic plan to highlight some of the goals in the strategic plan that we had. And it was interesting that everything that was the themes that came out of it was clearly aligned to the 5-year strategic plan. And then it was pretty much a collaborative comparison to, if you guys know about a KPI, to find out some of the key performance indicators in moving forward and following the strategic plan. But I always try to go back to the strategic plan. Next slide, please. I think that's it. One advice I will give you to conclude this as a lessons learned, please don't make any promises. Don't make any promises. Be visible, listen, take notes, and then communicate and share out your findings and themes, because everybody that you spoke to, they want to know what's coming out of your conversation with them. They took the time to share information with you, valuable information about the school district. It is as a professional individual, it is important that you get back to all of them and tell them exactly what you found out and how you're going to move forward from there. And Amy, I think that's it for me from someone who's not an expert. I just finished my first year, and so I'm just sharing what I did and a little bit of what I learned.
Well, Felix, you're an expert of doing this your first year, so I think you have a lot of it's fresh in your mind of what you just experienced, right? Those lessons learned. So we thank you. And I think one piece of advice too for smaller divisions that aren't able to afford some of the tools is using AI to do some of that thematic patterning and all the data for you. And you've done that. I know Clint Mitchell's done that. I know Daniel Smith has done a lot of that. So there's some names if you don't know, exactly how to do that, those are some people that you can reach out to ask them, how did you do that through AI? So, well, welcome back. I know that was a quick talk. Now, in our future sessions, you're going to have a little bit longer to do that, and you'll have two times to talk, one on hot topics and one on the topic. It's just that our overview of VAS kind of took up some time today. So if you have anything that really stood out to you in your conversation, something you really feel the need to share, due to time, could you put that in chat and let people see that? So anything you might want to share. Oops, I'm on the wrong computer here. now, if you want, you can look at these slides later, but if you want to tie in what you learned today, in my opinion, on what goes with superintendent evaluation, you can see what standards, entry planning, strategic planning might go under your evaluation tool. You can see that there. I'm not going to read those to you. Here are some of the artifacts that both Aaron and Felix have discussed. That some of these things were in the Navigator, some things to be collecting or popping in a file, whether it's probably, I hope, electronic, or maybe it could even be hard copy if you want. Things that you can be starting to save for when you do your evaluation. These are the executive coach prompts that your coach will be asking you following up from today and through time. Like I said before, all these slides will be in this resource library. If you want to access it right this minute, you can go to this QR code. Following this session, I will email you a link to the shared folder. I will email you any resources we have talked about, so you have that. I need you to go to this QR code though and fill out how did this session meet your needs. What you think really drives what we do in the future. I'm not set in stone that we have to do things this way and this is the topics we're going to do. I want to know, I need you to fill out this survey so I can make sure I meet your needs. Other than that, before we head out, what are some hot, next session is on the superintendent's role in school board relations. And you're going to hear from Jason Van Hoeklem from Winchester, Vic Shandor from York, Felix again's coming back to share, and Royal Gurley from Charlottesville City are going to share what they do in regards to board relations. But what other hot topics might you want to talk about in small group next month in August? You can come off your mic and just shout them out if you want to, or you can put them in chat. But that, I think that ends. Yeah, that ends today. I want to get you out by 11:30. So I just want to really quick thank our sponsors, Participate Learning and ALP. Thank Aaron and thanks Felix for really sharing real, authentic strategies around entry planning and your samples. Anyways, anyone want to come off mute and just shout out your hot topics for next time so we can meet your on-demand needs? Ongoing changes at the federal level, yes. Okay, so I'll collect these, and you also could put them in this QR code, this session here. So y'all have a great day. But